Hello and welcome to the third episode of Boots, Banter, and Beyond, the stories of Irreverent Warriors, the show where stories about how humor and camaraderie have changed lives for the better. I am your host, Eric Schessel. We're excited to have a guest today on our show, Renee Bouffard from Healing Hoofbeats of Connecticut. Their organization has been a sponsor of the Connecticut Silkies hike for a few years now. She's going to talk a little bit about her style of therapy, how it can benefit our military and veterans, and how she and her organization became involved with the Irreverent Warriors. So stay tuned. Renee, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me. How are you?
We're doing really, really good. My default obviously is surviving, but no, we're super excited to have you join us tonight.
Yeah, thanks. I'm super excited to be here. This is great.
Well, this is a lot of fun. So all right, so we've already kind of introduced you, Renee Bouffard. Can you tell us a little bit about your background of who you are and what you do?
Yeah, so I am by trade a licensed clinical social worker, so an LCSW. And I've been practicing therapy for over 12 years now with children, adults, veterans, adolescents, kind of the whole gambit. And over the years, as I started Healing Hoofbeats, my desire to work with veterans increased and increased and increased. And so when I started Healing Hoofbeats, one of the things that a friend of mine and I created was called Operation Warrior Horse. And that is a program that works specifically with veterans. And I started doing that because I felt like veterans do so much for our nation and our community. And I don't feel like we as a nation do enough for veterans. And so being able to create this program and facilitate it in order to help veterans heal from the invisible wounds incurred, being able to do that has been so rewarding for me. And being able to see how many veterans we help and we help heal has been outstanding.
Awesome. And just so you're aware, I'm
wearing. I didn't even see that.
I'm repping my Operation Warrior Horse shirt. Because we've come out to the events and stuff, the past couple of years, and so wanted to show that support. So you're not a veteran yourself.
I'm not.
What is your military connection?
So many people in my personal life, are veterans. And so I've seen what serving can do from a personal standpoint, and I've seen it from a professional standpoint.
Yeah. And I know that you guys have had a lot of veterans come out and take part in your programs. Mm-hmm. How did you guys get involved with the Irreverent Warriors, and why did you guys decide to get involved?
Well, it was you. So, I think it was our relationship and you being so involved with Healing Hoofbeats and Operation Warrior Horse. And, when you came out and chatted with us about what Irreverent Warriors was, it was almost like, it was kismet. It needed to happen, right? That our involvement with you guys and being able to help veterans in multitudes of different ways, I think was just so important. So, I think that, your mission, right, and using humor and camaraderie and doing active things, which helps in so many different ways. I think those are so important for anybody, right? And then being able to come together as veterans who, especially in Connecticut, where so many are reservists, and there's not one central place where everybody comes together. So being able to do all of the events and all of the hikes and everything that you guys do, I think is great to be able to still have that network.
Yeah. And that's kind of one of the biggest foundations of Irreverent Warriors is providing that social network for all the veterans, because there really isn't something like that out there.
Right.
That matches with everything once you get out of the military and you lose that camaraderie from what you had while you were in.
Yes.
So it's very important. Um, how did Healing Hoofbeats get its start? And like, what are the goals? And like, where's it going? Like, what's your storyline behind all
So, let's see, back in 2016, I kind of had an epiphany about not wanting to do more, I should say. So I've been a lifelong horse person. And when I went to grad school, I was able to do an internship where they showed me how to do equine assisted therapy. And it was very much an aha moment of, oh my God, my two passions can be connected. And so my love of horses and animals and my love of helping others. And so when I graduated, I very much wanted to do something like this. But if I wanted to do it where it was an already established thing, I would have to move out of Connecticut. That wasn't an option for me. So through different paths, kind of got to this place where I was like, you know what, I'm just going to start my own thing. And that's where, the birth of Healing Hoofbeats really came from. And, over the years, we've kind of evolved. I started with just working on the weekends where I could, seeing clients out of barns that were already in existence. And then then I saw the need for me to not be burnt out by working 60, 70 hours a week and still needing to see clients because this was still such a new model of therapy in Connecticut. There's really not a ton of places that do this. So, there was a need to hire more therapists. And so we did. And then we just kind of kept growing and growing and growing. In 2019, we saw a need to find our own space and to get our own animals and everything. And so that search kind of started in 2019 and it ended with where we are right now in Bethlehem, where we've got 7.5 acres, which is just a beautiful property to be able to come and enjoy the animals and just be in nature. So that's kind of been the evolution of Healing Hoofbeats. And so now we have myself and 3 other therapists that are working. We see probably 60 to 70 clients a week. So, there's a lot of great growth that's been happening in a very short period of time with Healing Hoofbeats.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Give us a rundown of like all the animals you guys have out there right now, because I know like Sparky's the only one that comes to mind, and I will get into him later. But like, what are all the animals that you guys have out there right now?
Yeah, so we've got 5 horses. We have 3 goats. I always start from like tallest to shortest so that I can remember how it goes. So 5 horses, 3 goats, a pig, 17 chickens, 6 cats, and a therapy dog.
You really do have a farm out there.
We do. There's quite the menagerie of animals here, and all of them are incorporated into therapy.
I still haven't come out there and cuddled with the pig yet. That's something that I got to do.
Yeah.
Does Hazel like to be cuddled? Is that like a thing, or is she just more like, don't touch me?
So it's gonna look a little different than if you were to like squeeze our therapy dog and give her hugs and cuddles. But she does absolutely love affection.
Okay, I'm coming out there and giving your pig a hug. It's the weirdest thing I've said all day long.
It's okay.
So because I've had an opportunity to come out there and take part. Like I took part a couple years ago in the immersion course that you guys had available out there, and I got to play around with play. I say play around, but I got to interact with Sparky. I took a liking to him, and all his flatulence and his attitude, and the convoy that I ended up leading, running around in the field out there.
Yes, you guys definitely connected.
It was funny. It was a good day. I mean, it was very much. It was very different. I have only recently started going to therapy like on my own, like you're more traditional, and being able to have like this was in a different setting. You were outdoors, you're interacting with animals while still incorporating the therapeutic side of what therapy is supposed to be.
Yeah.
So, why do you think that working with horses is helpful for our veterans and anybody else who might be struggling with mental health concerns?
So one of the things that I've noticed for veterans, but for others who are suffering with mental health issues too, is that we as humans are very good at wearing masks. And veterans also have to put on a lot of masks. And so we can often put on this mask or this suit of I'm fine, everything's okay. I don't want to talk about my stuff, right? Or I'm just going to bulldoze through it and it'll be fine. Horses don't accept that. They say, oh my God, what you're feeling on the inside is not what you're showing me on the outside. And there's some incongruence. And I don't understand that. And so for them, the horses really help us break down the walls that we put up to protect ourselves. And so there's our therapy dog. Also puts on a suit as a guard dog when the door opens. So, but when we put on masks or we put on this armor that says, I'm fine, but we know we don't feel that on the inside, the horses kind of call us on it and say, listen, I want to be with you for who you are. I want to know what you're feeling on the inside, and that what you're feeling on the inside, I want you to know it's okay to show that, right? Whether it's the good, bad, or the ugly that we're feeling, whatever it is, the horses want us to show that and to be genuinely who we are in that moment. They are animals, they're prey animals, right? But they are also their species has been around for hundreds of years, so they had to get really good at surviving. And one of the things that prey animals can do is when a possible threat is heard or felt, they bring up their hypervigilance, right? And then they assess their situation. If they always stayed in that hypervigilant state, the species would not be along for very long, because we can't stay in those heightened cortisol states. So horses and other livestock and prey animals will bring up their hypervigilance, assess the situation, say, well, got to book it. There's a saber-toothed tiger. We need to move. Or say, no, that was just the hawk flying by. We're good. And so, we all understand and know that when a veteran comes back from combat or back from their serving time and are into their civilian lives, hypervigilance can be a really difficult thing to struggle with, right? And so you always are on alert, and that is exhausting. And so we want to help our veterans understand that you can bring your hypervigilance up and down. You can bring it up, assess the situation, and find ways to bring it back down and to keep moving forward. And so being able to see that in such a strong, horses are massive, right? They're over 1,000 pounds.
Yeah,
so to be able to see that in such a big creature is profound.
Right.
And I'm sure you all hear poor Penny whining back there because she is deprived of attention right now.
I was like going to say, it's not your stomach growling. I know it's not mine. I just ate
it. It is not my stomach. Come here, Penny. You want to say hi? Come here. She will likely join it sometime.
She's just letting you know that she's not getting attention right now.
I'm still here. Come here.
So talk about like the hypervigilance of horses and just their nature. How does that translate into them having such a grasp on being intuitive
Hmm.
to us, and how they can feel what we're feeling. Like, as you mentioned that they sense what we're feeling and they say, no, that's not what you're
They
presenting.
do.
They're
Yeah.
calling us out. But how does that come about? How do they know?
So they have to, in order to survive, they have to sense energy. And so when we are feeling any emotion, whether it's anxiety, excitement, frustration, sadness, they know that they know what it is that we are feeling, right? And so they can assess, you're feeling anxious right now. If we try to mask it, then they're like, oh, good God, what is going on? We have to freak out about this, right? We have to respond. And so that's where all of the energy really comes in, that is important for them to be able to identify, because if they assess that a threat, right, a threat is there and the energy is really high. So like, think about the difference between a saber-toothed tiger and a sheep, right? We naturally have different energies based on what kind of a being we are. So you can have the saber-toothed tiger and the sheep the same distance away from a horse, and it knows this one's a sheep. I don't need to be so concerned, but this one's a saber-toothed tiger and I do need to be concerned. So they can understand energy and know exactly what to do with it in order to keep themselves safe.
Got it. Okay. So I don't know. I'm trying to think now, because I'm trying to just, I don't know. So wrapping that up into how do the horses really just help with us, with a combat veteran with PTSD? How does a horse, how can a horse help us from that standpoint?
So I think what we need to, if we kind of reverse backwards a little bit, engaging in therapy with the animals and with the horses is all about building a relationship, right? And so often, when a veteran or a service member is struggling with service time person and then civilian person, right? When kind of going between um, those two identities, oftentimes when they're into their civilian lives, their relationships become strenuous, right? And can become difficult because the civilians that are in their lives don't understand what's been going on in their service time life. And so and then on the flip side, veterans can struggle knowing how to relate to civilians in their civilian lives. And so the horse has no idea that you're a veteran or not.
Right.
And hi, you finally came up. Sorry. Um, they don't care. They care that you want to engage in a good relationship, right? And so that is what they help with. And through building that healthy, mutually beneficial relationship, the veteran or anyone who's engaging in this therapy is taking what they learn and what they experience in session with the horses and with the help of their therapist. They're taking that experience and then being able to put it into practice in their lives at home.
Got
And
it.
so the energy work is a piece of it, right? That like,
Yeah.
if I mean, we all can think of a time when we felt really, really anxious, right? And so we know, or when somebody else in the room felt really, really anxious, right? We can feel that energy. That affects our relationships, right? So when we can see it in 1,000-pound animal, you can't ignore that it's happening, right? So you can learn how to adjust yourself in order to engage in that healthy, mutually beneficial relationship.
Okay. That makes a lot of sense. Um, so you probably have tons of positive outcomes, positive stories that have come from the program itself. Would you mind sharing with us some of your most favorite outcomes? Maybe a couple of favorite stories or something like that. Some of the favorite people you have. Obviously, you don't have to list names and all
It's
that because
definitely you, Eric. You are my favorite.
no, no, come on now. That's not true. Don't lie. Don't lie to me. That's not true. Even though I know Penny has a soft spot for me for some
He
reason,
does
she
love you
always
so
comes and
much.
sits in my lap anytime we're at a trade show or something. It's
Hmm.
kind of funny that I'm the
Yeah.
first person she comes to. But
Ex- She's got a relationship with you. It's good.
right, and I'm
Right?
I'm here for it because puppy cuddles are good cuddles.
They are. They
And
are
just
good
as long
cuddles.
as just as long as Sparky doesn't try to climb in my lap, I think we're okay. I don't think I can handle that.
That might hurt a little bit. A little bit.
Um,
um, so my favorite experiences. Um, there are a lot. There are a lot. And one of the most general things that I can say that really speaks to me is that so often we have veterans of all different theaters of war, all different ages, all different you know, it doesn't matter what branch they were in. So many have tried to engage in therapy before, whether it's through the VA or through, civilian private practices or anything like that. And so often I hear, I've tried everything and nothing is working. And this is my last resort. And that breaks my heart because I would love for us to be a first resort because I do feel like non-traditional therapies are really helpful for veterans. Um, but I'm also so ecstatic when I start to see that there is progress and that there is change and that there is healing because I get to see that as a therapist doing this work. Whereas most therapists who are sitting in an office don't always see the huge progress that people can make while they're seeing the patient. It could be 5 years down the line that whatever they're working on in therapy ends up shifting in their life. So, in general, what I love is that I, as a therapist, get to see all of the changes that our clients make. Some maybe more specific examples might be, when so we had a gentleman who would go up to the horses and in a sense kind of looked down on them, that they were just a silly animal that has no brain and just kind of is in existence. And it took him a while, but he started to begin to see the different personalities, begin to see how his preconceived notions might have impacted his relationships. And then he could take that and say, well, this happened in my life. And, that's how I interacted with this person, or that's, he was able to connect the dots, right? That if I have these preconceived notions of people or animals or anything, then that's the story that's going to exist. But if I'm more open, then I can start to see that being for who they truly are. And he had a very lonely existence for a long time. And then he was able to start to build relationships with the horses, with the animals. He reconnected with his wife. He was able to, re-engage with his children, his adult children who had, kind of been out of his life for a while, all from recognizing his relationship patterns because he was doing the same thing with the horses.
that's some powerful stuff right there.
It is. It is. And that's what I mean about being able to see it, right? We might not sitting on a couch get to that place that quick.
Right. Do you think the horses themselves, or any of the animals, it could be Penny, it could
Mhm.
be Hazel. Do you think that the animals and their intuitive nature, their instincts, their the way that they interact with us pushes us to, I don't want to say heal faster, but process differently in a way that traditional therapy may lack because of the lack of interactivity and stimulus?
Yes, absolutely. So, when we are engaging with any of the animals, our goal, one, is to heal, but it is to create mutually beneficial relationships and positive relationships, right? And so if I'm in therapy with the animals and a theme keeps popping up, then my therapist is going to kind of work through that with me so that I can understand the whys, or what happened in my childhood to bring that up. And then I can start to work to make things differently. And so when you do that, your brain is creating new neural pathways to be able to then continue that outside the farm, right? So it's kind of cementing it into your brain that this is the healthier way to go.
Right. It's habitual. It creates habits over time.
Yeah. Yeah. And you get instant feedback. An animal is going to give you instant feedback as to whether or not they like it. And if they like it, right, then you're going to want to do more of that. If they don't like it, then you're going to assess, okay, well, why don't they like it? And then you're going to start to make those changes and continue to see instantly if it's working or not working.
Right, because you'll treat the animal a specific way. Like, we'll just take Sparky for example. Like when I was up there and I first approached Sparky, he wanted nothing to do with me. I actually had to I had to process my own anxiety about being next to a 1,000-pound animal, and kind of allow him to come to me as I was just standing there. And so it wasn't until I myself had kind of brought my energy level down that he was like, "Oh, all right, this isn't a threat. This is kind of cool." And it just seemed to, and I could see where you would be able to take that and have that translate into how you interact with people. That's very, very, very relatable.
Yeah, absolutely.
I still want to come down and cuddle the pig, though.
You can.
I'm gonna.
Her winter fur is very porcupiney right now, but you can totally cuddle.
Speaking of cuddling with Hazel, so you guys have stuff that goes on over the summer and the fall that you guys are going to be hosting. What events do you guys have over that time frame?
So we have, let's see, in May 19th, we have our annual open farm day, which is open to everybody. It is for a couple of hours in the afternoon. It's basically an opportunity for anybody in the community to come see what we're about, talk to all of our staff, all of our volunteers, meet the animals. We usually have a band, and it's just a super fun, family-filled day. So that's on May 19th. We also have Operation Warrior Horse Immersion in June and in October, which is a one-day immersion, which is what you engaged in, Eric. We are also going to do a military couples immersion, which the dates are still to be determined, but that is for military service people and their spouse or significant other. We also have, let's see, I might be missing something. One shift that we are doing is we are typically we do a Warrior Wellness Trailblazers event.
Yes.
In October. And this year we're kind of stepping away from that a little bit, and we are going to do sorry.
Penny is not happy about
I know. So we're going to do some fundraising and some like media outreach in different ways for Operation Warrior Horse this year. But that is typically an event that we do. So we're taking a step back from that this year. We will be at your Silkies hike. So there's a lot of awesome programs going on that we still haven't picked dates for or developed. But you can always check out our website. So that's, always under our events tab is where you can see what's going on. So that's another option too.
Right. And so that everybody's aware out there. Um, how can people find out more? Obviously, we just kind of were talking about that.
Yep.
And so, what's your website?
So the website is healinghoofbeatsofct.org.
Look at that. There it
Right
is.
there.
And, and
Yeah.
so what will people find when they go to your website?
Everything.
Everything.
So,
Will they see bios of the animals? Will they see
yeah.
tell us about what they'll find when they come visit?
Yeah, so you have an opportunity to really understand a little bit more in depth about why we do what we do. There is a tab where you can meet all of the two-legged therapists. There is a portion where you get to see all the animals and little bios of them. Another tab which kind of lines out all of the different events that we have going on, events and programs, I should say. Sometimes we do have like fundraising events, but also we'll have our different programs that start up. We do have, kids ones. Oh, one that I did not mention that is in June is our Operation Warrior Pony group, which is for kids of veterans.
Ooh.
Yeah, so we're super excited about that one. So that is also in June. There's 2 dates in June. So there's a myriad of different ways. There is you can also read about all the different programs that we do, Operation Warrior Horse being one of them. And there's also different ways to support our organization. So as a nonprofit organization, we're always looking for people to be involved with us through like board leadership or volunteering or, supporting through donations and things like that. So all of that kind of good stuff is all on our website.
Awesome. And yeah, and so for people, anybody that's listening and watching, when you guys are checking out the animal profiles, you can buy like some hay or some feed or something like that, when you donate, and they
Yeah.
have on there the allotments for what you donate and what that goes towards for each of the animals. Because
Mhm.
some animals eat a lot, like the horses, and then some animals don't eat as much, like the goats. But there's a kind of a price points and with descriptions for all that stuff. So you
Yeah.
guys, if you guys are paying attention, go over to the Healing Hoofbeats website, check them out, check out their programs, and because it sounds like they've got stuff for not just the veterans, but families and kids and everything. So
Mhm.
it's a good way to get a little equine therapy in your lives and get some of that good healing.
Yeah. And one of the cool things about our sponsor, so we call what you just talked about our sponsor a healer program, is that when you do, you are invited to our donor day and then you get to hang out with the animal that you supported.
Ooh, so yeah, if I donate a lot of money to Hazel, I can come out and I can hang out
Then
with
you
the
can
pig all
come out
day.
and cuddle her.
I
Mhm.
That's all I got to do. So I'm going to go to the website. I'm going to donate some money to Hazel so I can get the opportunity to come out there. And then Hazel, the pig is mine for the day. It's my pig. Nobody
Only
else can have
yours.
her.
We'll see how she feels about that.
She doesn't have a choice. I paid. Like it's
Well,
fine. Like it's admission.
always has a choice. Always has. Everybody always has a choice.
They do. Um, well, I think that about wraps it up. I
Okay,
wanted to take an
wonderful.
opportunity to thank you for the work you've done with veterans. It's absolutely amazing, and I think everybody that listens and tunes in has learned a lot more about equine therapy and what can happen with the bond between us and horses and other animals. I
Yeah.
just want to thank you for doing this, putting in all this work and this time, and everything. And yeah, it's amazing. It's amazing to hear, and it's one thing for me to hear you talk about it, but I can then turn on advocate for it as well because I've experienced it myself,
Right.
and I can tell you that it works. If you're afraid of animals, you're afraid of horses, that passes. It really does.
Mhm.
You learn to open up and everything. And I can't recommend the organization enough. So
Well, thank you so much. You're always such a great supporter. And thank you for all that you do for veterans and for irreverent warriors too. I think, your work is commendable as well.
well, thank you. But we're not here for me and IW.
I
We're
don't
here we're
care.
here for you. We're here highlighting you. That's the whole point of this.
Well, it's also important to support you. So I am.
Well, and thank you. It's very much appreciated. And and so there you have it, ladies and gents. We want to thank Renee again from Healing Hoofbeats of Connecticut for taking the time to be with us this evening. Thank you so much, Renee. We really, really appreciate it.
Absolutely. It was my pleasure.
And thank you all for listening in, tuning in, and hanging out with us. Be sure to share this episode for everybody that could use a little equine as well as a little bit of extra humor and camaraderie in their lives to anybody who might be willing to listen. So until next time, stay irreverent, my friends.